Thank you.
Sige. Ano rin natin mamaya? O sige, Lucille, your turn.
Okay,
Wala pa tayong nakikita kay Lucille, ah? Okay, Lucille, go ahead.
medyo kinakabahan ako.
Ha?
Oo nga, first time namin makikita yung work mo.
So, nga pala, so you haven't saw my work, but I made a new PowerPoint. It's different from the last, but it's also the same. So I actually edited some, and then somehow I also changed a bit. So from the analysis na parang kukuha ko ng symbols mismo, I use semiotics instead of symbols and representation. So semiotics is it's almost the same, but it's more broad in a sense. Kasi I was having problem with um, researching Philippine symbols. Kasi for one, we have been conquered by Spanish, Japanese, and American. So we have these influences, and uh, and also the Spanish eradicated our most of our resources in our culture. So it's also very hard to um, kasi the art therapy or my drawings are also unique to me, and it's also very hard to um, parang to relate to those ancient cultural symbols, especially when I'm living in the present. That who is a person that is influenced not only by being a Filipino but also influenced by other things culturally speaking. So I use semiotics instead. So maybe it would be interesting um, to research more about how a Filipino, or how is it with being an Asian, and how my symbols in my drawing would reflect to different symbols in Asia as an Asian person. But we lack the particular resources for that. So I use a broad term instead, which is semiotics, and the symbols here does not usually is not parang fixed na parang visual yung symbol, but visual symbol na parang uh, an eagle or a flag, ganon. So, ayun lang. But I basically changed a lot, except maybe for the title. So,
Sige.
my title is still Art as Therapy, a Subconscious Process of Understanding Oneself. And but I changed my statement of the problem. So my statement of the problem before was the use of art as therapeutic tool in understanding oneself by and identifying, reflecting, and creating oneself persona. I change it into self-identification through therapeutic art can mean differently compared to the analysis of cultural perception of symbols. So, I wanted to study on how my perception, or how my experiences, or the meaning of my own art can can be different uh, can be different on how other, or how culture, or how society can view my own art. So through the use of symbols. So um, that for me is the self-identification. So that is my statement of the problem. So again, it's a big leap. So and then my objectives are still the same: to use art as a tool in identifying oneself or knowing oneself, then to understand the significance of using art as a tool to express one's subconscious that will lead to understanding oneself. And then that there is also the promotion of mental health and the to bridge the gap between automatism and symbolism. And I also added to learn more about visual symbols that is found in various cultures, which may be used in unlocking dreams or the subconscious. Kasi I did not only added um, with my study kasi I did not only stop with psychoanalysis, I also uh, included dream analysis, which is also part of or can be included in semiotics. So, ayun. Background, I was a gallery assistant and I have been working with also a support group called Boxer Society, and I also had developed depression, anxiety, and art was my form of therapy. And I wrote a thesis paper entitled Art as a Therapy versus Confessional Art, a comparison through personal experience, which discusses the difference between art therapy and confessional art. But in this study, I wanted to broaden the topic, which is using art therapy as a form of analyzing my art through the use of symbols. So, in my study here, I wanted to parang bridge the gap between abstract expressionism or expressionism, and then there is also a subtopic or an influence of surrealism and symbolism. And also here, I also employ the use of automatism, but uh, automatism here is different from the movement in surrealism and abstract expressionism because the automatism that I employ here is more of from the psychological point of view that uses free association. So later I would um, discuss what free association is. And so here are the concepts that I employ. So I use art therapy, uh, art as therapy, confessional art, symbolism, psychoanalysis, free association, dream analysis, amplification, automatism, semiotics, surrealism, and then I also have the drawing process or the art journal process. So just um, to go into detail, art therapy uses spontaneous graphic art. So when you say spontaneous, you just draw whatever comes into the mind, and it becomes a form or a tool. Instead of talking, you do art, and it becomes a symbolic speech. So instead of talking, you draw. So for some people, talking is very hard. So you employ art therapy instead of, or you are drawing instead of talking. So, I mean, because there are people who are verbal, but there are also people who are more comfortable with showing their actions rather than talking it out. So that's why people use art therapy also. But art therapy integrates also with mental health by using art making, and it is more it emphasizes on the creative process, uh, but somehow also applying psychological theory and relating it to the human experience. So basically, I won't go into detail what is the psychoanalysis theory and the dream analysis, but I will tell you what is the aim of the psychoanalysis and the dream analysis. So basically, uh, the theory of Sigmund Freud and Carl Jung was that um, we humans have innate feelings, subconscious id, and the present, or the one that controls our morality. But the theory comes that those that are deep inside our subconscious, which could be like uh, buried anger, issues, feelings, that could lead to a mental health condition. So the idea is of psychoanalysis is to release the suppressed emotion and experiences. So it's like making the unconscious conscious. So in this way, the person would be cured. So it would help them from or prevent them from being depressed and stuff. So for example, this is also why talking to your best friend is also could be considered can be also considered as therapeutic. So that's what psychoanalysis is. And then there is also another kind. This it is dream analysis. So the theory comes that um, uh, when the subconscious wants to go out, uh, when subconscious is parang, for example, it's like a boiling water. If it boils too much, it would erupt. So the idea is that um, when the water would erupt or the subconscious would erupt, sometimes um, it would erupt in a form of a dream. So dreams would be the attempts of the body or the mind to express and create uh, uh, express the subconscious out in order to parang stop being, from boiling over or parang being depressed. And kasi when you stop your subconscious or your bad feelings from going out, there is the tendency that you would get sick and that it would affect your decision making. It would affect how you are, your attitude to people, and other things. So one way of the body of combating depression is to uh, express it to dreams. But the thing is with dreams is that sometimes it is not understandable when you wake up. So the dreams, they said, have these symbols, and these symbols can be analyzed. So this is how my work would be. So or my study would be. So it is in a form of psychoanalysis, and but in a form of drawing. And um, the subconscious would be like in a dream, but I'm going to draw it visually.
Okay.
So ayun. So when I draw, you call it or automatism, you call it free association. Kasi Sigmund Freud and Carl Jung observed that most patients talk freely being without under hypnosis, and that the free association is a technique that the patient is encouraged to say anything that comes into mind without regard to its assumed relevancy or propriety. This is also the same with how I employ with my study. I just draw whatever comes into my mind, and that is called automatism or free association. But without the unlike yung kay unlike other artists, they employ abstraction. Mine, I use symbols instead of the abstraction.
Okay.
So, and then you also have this amplification. So there is this theory that um, these symbols are not also unique to ourselves. Di ba, our dreams or our mind or our conscious create symbols through dreams, and that would reflect on what we are feeling, what we think, or what we are undergoing through that we weren't even conscious. But there is this amplification, meaning that uh, the symbols or what we are feeling can also be connected to what we are, where we are, or who we are with. For example, society, our culture, and other cultures. So amplification assumes that humanity shares a collective unconscious or a set of inherited universal experiences. So this is what they use in dream analysis. They have this symbols, or you call this semiotics in visual arts, that for example, a sun may may or a light might symbolize for hope, or there is a light, or ayun, or faith, ganon. So that that is the common symbolism or description for the sun or the light. So that is amplification in psychology, that um, the symbols is unique to the population and also find meaning in the dream. But it also, Carl Jung also said that sometimes this amplification does not work, or especially in dream analysis, because the interpretation has to be unique to the dreamer. So if the interpretation of the dream does not resonate with the dreamer, then the symbol or the what do you call this, the meaning of the symbol might not be the exact interpretation of the dreamer or the artist in this sense. So like I said, automatism is creating art without conscious thought and accessing the material from the conscious mind as a part of creative process. So just a little fact, surrealists also use automatism in a way that they are interested in interpreting dreams and unspoken feelings and desires. Sometimes surrealism or other artists also employ the use of drugs to unlock their mind and make art. So that is how that is why they do it through automatism, or trying to evoke the use of free association. So semiotics, just we all learned this in MFA 201 or 202, I think, 201. Semiotics is the use of visual signifiers with cultural significance. It is the study of sign, and the basic unit in semiotics is the sign. So basically, the signs can be symbols, and they are the representations that what this sign or symbol may literally represent. The signs could be auditory, it could be body, it could be language, it could be everywhere, not just art. But in my research, mostly the signs here would be visual, and I'm going to break down the images or the composition into different images and signs and try to analyze it on how does culture or society thinks what my art would represent, so or mean. So that is what I do. So methodology, my study will be using free association or the process of automatism, which would inspire the artist's subconscious experiences, thoughts, ideas, and feelings. And then I also partner with a psychologist that will who guided me and helped me to analyze my free associations and compositions. But because we have a limited time and the therapy I have was only per week, one meeting per week, and we only have like 3 weeks, so very very limited yung analysis that we were able to do. So, and then it also does not discount the fact that sometimes we had trouble with the internet kasi I'm in Sorsogon, and we don't have a psychiatrist and psychologist here. So I have to source out in Manila to so we did teleconsultation, and ayun, so the works that I'm going to present or analyze are basically only three. So,
Okay.
but I made more than 20 or 20 drawings, but those weren't just analyzed yet because of the lack of time. So basically, my methodology is how I did a free association is that I tried to tone my paper, and basically I just tone it where I wanted the charcoal to be, and ayun, and then I smudge it, and then I see different kinds of dark areas, and I try to make sense of where these areas would be and make a figure out of it. So basically, I'm imagining a figure out of this this dark area. So basically, it's like an ink blot test, but I'm just trying to make these figures in my mind. So the imagined figures in my mind, I'm what I'm doing is that I am basically defining it just as how I see it. So, ayan. And so for example, this one here, I just scratched, and then I try to blend it, and then I define the shapes now what I see in my mind, and then I define it more details, and this is the finished image. So presentation of the creative output. Oops. So this is one of the analyzed pictures. So I only had three. So um, uh, I also pala, sorry, I forgot. One thing of, because I also posted um, this compositions online. So basically, it's my way of uh, keeping track of when I did it, what are my thoughts when I drew it. But basically, other people doesn't really understand what it means. But basically, it's just my way of record keeping. And one thing that I put in my scope is that this way of parang posting it online did not really I did not really got a definite feedback on my work except when I talked to my psychologist. So this is what I wrote on my Facebook. So Facebook page. So beautiful things can be terrifying in a way that it could attract bad intentions. So this was made in April 29 to 22, 12:35 a.m. So basically, I knew that I might not able to finish the 30-day work. So I tried to start earlier. And so that was true because there are times that I was really sick in the middle of the month, and I just had to stop and had to like, and some days I was very motivated that I was able to make two or more. So ayun. So self-reflection, so I included in my paper different kinds. So I have a self-reflection, and then a psychologic insight from the psychologist, and um, semiotics or analysis, or what culture says on what is the symbols mean. So self-reflection, this is a visual composition of my illogical fear of being too happy and having too much, then knowing that I will be sad again, that parang it would be taken away by someone. So in my mind when I was making this is that um, being too rich or glamorous or being too happy can lead people to be jealous of you, wanting to bring you down and rob you. So that's why I made a butterfly or a sort kind of insect coming at me, and I'm like um, crossing my fingers, no, or protecting myself. So, with the help of the psychologist, she said that this idea could be from a deep seated feeling of being bullied from childhood, or being able to witness a traumatic event, and that the hands crossed might be mean that one is defensive. So it's just like trying to um, cross your arms or legs, for example. So you're in a guarded stance, and that the flying thing can be uh, uh, something or someone, something that you are afraid of, or or a form that someone or something is trying to get you. So if you can see from here, parang iba na yung reflection, or iba na yung meaning. And then I also researched in what it means, the symbols, the what it means in the dream. So there is no specific symbol of being hands crossed, but the psychologist thinks that it could be like how people cross their arms, and it could mean that the person is anxious, resistant, tense, insecure, afraid, or responding to distress. And it could be like a symbol of creating a barrier to protect oneself. And then what else? I found out that dreaming of an insect is usually to related to things that have bothered you a lot, and and also it also means that it is a small obstacle incoming, or and sometimes an insect can also be a symbol of greed or sensual pleasure. So it is very, very different from what I was thinking while I was drawing this composition. So, ayun.
Go
And then,
ahead, Lucille.
what?
Go ahead. Go ahead. How many?
Oops. Hi, ma'am. Biglang nawala yung kuryente namin.
I know. And that's like ganyan din dito. Nagba-brown out din where I am. Kaya tinanong ko kaagad, siya, nandiyan pa ba kayo? Kasi baka ako yung nag-brown out. So, okay. So, Lucille, why don't you scope it out? Did you say you had 3 of those to present for this morning?
Yes po.
Oh, sige.
So,
Go ahead, no? Kasi, we have just three, and then your perspectives, no?
yes po.
So if you can sort of make a compact presentation of the
Okay.
last of the second half. Go ahead.
So this is you can see my screen, right? So this is another drawing. The my thoughts on this was that it was a nightmare. So we were running on the nightmare. I was running with someone, and then we stopped and hid from people who kidnapped us. So there was a night, there was cars. I don't totally remember what I saw, but when I was growing, this is what I made out. So, um, ayun. So, and then the psychologist insight was that there was the visual darkness, meaning that there was some kind of depression. But she also noted that there was light coming from the right side, so right here, meaning it could also mean that there was hope, and that is also interesting to note. She said that it was also interesting to note that there was some kind of story being formed in my mind in this dream, and it was very vague, and that there is also another bigger person in the work, or the symbolism of a bigger person. That means that I'm not alone, and I didn't feel alone in that dream. So, semiotics, dark colors can often convey a sense of mystery and the light source. And then the tree naman can symbolize uh, symbol of growth, revival, and then the car in the dream might um, symbolize being focused, and the headlights could mean disillusionment in my life. So that would be like totally different from what I also dreamt about. And then this one, another thing is a dream of running away. So there are jars of organs inside, or things inside the jars, and then there are people running on top, running away. So I dreamt that we were running away from a group of people who wants to extract us. So I could see in my dream some array of jars with floating things inside them, and that um, while talking to the psychologist, um, it was like a flashback on when I was a kid. Like I don't want to go home, and that I was always trying to run away to our home because there was something in our house. Now I don't want to stay at home. So basically, I was maltreated with the helpers. So so it was like a reflection of not wanting away, and that the group of people might wanting to take us might be a syndicate that harvests organs of young children, and and then the whole thing might be an indication of trauma when I was young. Uh, semiotics. If you dream about running away, it is likely that you're running away from your waking life. Um, it could be like a situation, or an unpleasant work or atmosphere, or family conflict, and it could also mean running away could also mean that you're depressed. So and that but the other thing that really bothers me in the semiotic or the dream analysis is the symbol of bottles. Because when you see bottles daw, it means a sign of happiness. So which is totally different from what I dreamt, or totally different from what I reflected on my dream. So it says that the dream which shows dreaming of bottles which show that you live moments of extraordinary happiness and joy, and that it is a good idea of many aspects of life associated with social relationship, work, and family. So, and then if the bottle is filled with water, it portends good luck or professional life and love. So, which is totally different from what I was dreaming. So, um, yeah. So this is my other works. I will just skim through it. Um, and then other things. So it's looked like surrealistic to me. And so my perception on this is that, or my conclusion on this is that the visual symbols have their own unique interpretation, and it is unique, or the symbols are unique to the individual's experiences, thoughts, feelings, life situations, but it does not necessarily coincide with the common accepted symbols, for example in dreams, culture, society, and others. And although the subconscious can be influenced by one's life or life experiences, society, and stuff, um, it could affect the visual symbols. But the analysis of how one draws, or how the artwork or one's visual symbols in the head or subconscious is always subjective to one's own interpretation, meaning the what the art it could also mean that what the artist drew or what the artist mean will not always uh, have the same meaning when someone else would see it. And yeah, so ayun po. So basically that's it.
Okay. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Lucille. Um, I see that you created a lot of works, huh?
Thank you.
And alam mo, tama naman yung ano mo na everything's going subjective, no? Even beyond the area you're limiting yourself to in art therapy, no? Pero kahit na hindi nag-art therapy, I think all the artists here will agree, lumalabas ng lumalabas, marami yung personal experience,
Yes.
and that which you showed and explained, no? And your personal experience, and then your dreams, no? So you drew on a lot of things, no? That artists also one way or another draw from, no? And I think the important thing here as art therapy is that you're working with a psychologist,
Yes.
no? And and I think you yourself agree that in your case, no, it's helping you, correct?
Yes,
The
ma'am.
the art itself, your the way you make your art, and also the way you reflect on it, and also the
Yes, ma'am.
participation of your psychologist, I think, which is more important, no? And as to your references to psychoanalysis, I told you na dapat mag-reference yan, ha, may basis ka, right? Before
Yes,
you go
ma'am.
on your
Yes, ma'am.
own. Before you go on your own
I have my references on my paper, but I did not like di ko parang I just don't
mention it.
even,
Yeah.
I didn't mention it per se. So
Yeah, but I got it. I got it, no? I was going over your paper. Okay. So, thank you, no, Lucille.
thank you, ma'am.
And yeah. And I hope the art therapy will keep on helping you. Okay, Esher.
Yung sobrang important siguro for me yung self-reflection na view. Kasi parang i-reflect din ng psychologist yung pagkaka-view ng self eh.
Yes.
So, pero sa akin, parang sa akin importante yung pagiging Pilipino mo. And parang siguro, kasi sabi mo nga na madaming nawala since colonization.
Yes.
But I think we must understand na meron pa rin tayong wika. So
Yes.
yun, yung wika natin, doon naka-embed yung ano natin, yung kalinangan natin, yung kultura natin. And sa tingin ko, hindi ko alam kung magiging helpful to, pero merong merong sa social science, merong idea ng Pilipinolohiya na dinidiscuss niya yung kaluluwa natin, yung budhi natin, na para siyang yin-yang, naglalaro. Self and others, yung kaluluwa is the self, and the budhi is our conscience. And then sa labas nun, meron kang labas, which is yung physical self mo. Meron kang utak, meron kang mukha, may mata ka. Meron kang laman, which is yung bituka mo, isipan, na nakikita natin siya sa mga salita natin eh. And then yung lalim, which is yung kaluluwa, budhi. Feeling ko, nung tinitingnan ko yung work mo, sinasabi ko na parang, tingin ko kaya itong mabasa in terms of pagtingin ng mga loob, nung ano yung nasa kalooban natin. Kunyari kapag, let's say for example, yung butterfly, ano yung labas doon, ano yung loob doon, ano yung laman doon, ano yung lalim doon. Parang ganon ko lang siya naisip. Pero feeling ko, mas siya, individual study na, yung ilalagay ko na lang yung article, if ever you want to,
Yes, please. Can you please share it to me?
Yun. Pero mahanap ko naman siya sa LiveGen.
I'm having hard time with researching.
Sige, maganda yan. Maganda yan, no?
Kasi I've been parang galing ako Bisaya and then nandito ako sa Bicol, and so migrating to different kinds of islands, parang medyo mahina din ako mag-Tagalog. So it will be really great if you will share it.
Yun nga pero ano naman tayo, kumbaga, parehas naman tayo kahit nasa iba't ibang pulo tayo.
Yeah.
Na may pare-pares tayong culture na galing sa Austronesian, di ba? So yun, medyo maganda rin na mabasa mo yun, feeling ko, kung para sabi mo nga, subjective ang perception mo, sa perception natin every time. And feeling ko, magbabago siya kapag may nabasa ka na ganito.
Okay.
Send us the link, Shara, hit on chat or.
Ma'am.
Okay, all the more now we want to look at it, huh? Let's see how saan mo na ano yan. Okay, so I think we can go now to